My Little Pony Friendship is Tragic. Tonight, we're going to be learning about the single creepiest My Little Pony analog horror series. Beware, because it's going to get spooky in here. This was supposed to be out in time for Halloween, but I was busy doing Halloween things on Halloween, so now you're getting it late. When I was a kid, my sisters loved My Little Pony, so I ended up seeing the Friendship is Magic show about 7 times over, give or take. Discord is objectively the best character. I will fight people on this. But when I saw it, I didn't have access to the internet, homeschooled, so I didn't discover that there was a much darker side of the fandom until fairly recently. Apparently, a lot of the kids who grew up with this show, which for a kid's show tended to dive into some pretty mature themes later on, mirroring some other shows that I ended up liking a little bit older, such as Gravity Falls or Star Wars The Clone Wars. A lot of those kids grew up and then got into horror, and then they made compelling and disturbing fan fiction that imagines the world of the series if it wasn't confined to the ratings of a show for children. And the result has culminated in the Infection AUs, or alternate universes. What is an Infection AU, you might be asking? MLP Infection AU refers to a My Little Pony creepypasta, an alternate universe that centers on a flesh and mind-eating disease. MLP Infection art, videos, and content which showed MLP characters as decaying and cursed, almost like zombies, surfaced on TikTok in late 2023, continuing into January of 2024, when a lot of the hype online kind of died down. Much of the MLP Infection art was shared via TikTok slideshows and then reposted other places online in a compilation format, including one analog horror series on TikTok and YouTube called Divine Swamp Fever. Swamp fever is a type of equestrian disease that both Fluttershy and Zecora had contracted in the Season 7 episode Health of Information. Fun play on wealth of information, haha. The episode begins at a swamp where Zecora helps Fluttershy collect crisscross moss for the Sweet Feather Sanctuary, and during her moss collection, Zecora slips and falls into the swamp water, and she floats past a lily pad flower that sprays her with pollen. When Zecora emerges from the water, she suddenly finds herself covered in orange spots. This is the first sign of swamp fever. The main cause of the disease is from an unnamed swamp flower located within areas like Hayseed Swamp and the Everfree Forest. These flowers release pollen in a small blast, and the fever is contracted through inhaling the said pollen. However, thankfully, later in the episode it is revealed that flash bees are immune to the effects, and as such their honey, when eaten, is able to cure swamp fever within seconds. All is well, everyone lives happily ever after, we can sleep at night. However, this Infection AU takes that episode to its dark extreme. By following the logic, if there had been no way to escape from the disease, how would every pony survive? This series of short videos and concepts, originally created by Chloe Alonso, whose stuff is going to be linked in the description of this video, explored this idea, and it's definitely something, so let us begin. It opens with a bit of backstory on how we ended up in this situation in the first place. Cadence is at home in the Crystal Empire, keeping up walls, and the Empire is completely closed off. She is holding the walls up herself until her scholars find a long-term solution. Shining Armor is in a secret place until a cure is found, more on that later. Flurry Heart comes first, currently immune, but may be susceptible as exhaustion takes hold. Starlight was working alongside Twilight in an infected zone looking for a cure, but was unable to defend herself against the contained infected. The flesh surrounding her spine has degraded and makes it difficult for her to move, leaving her slow and shambling. She has keen senses, but is not very aggressive. And if you look at the art, it starts, like, obviously it's already super, like, fucked. It feels a little bit silly and spooky at the same time. And then as the series progresses, it gets more and more messed up as it goes. It's really cool. Anyways, let's continue. Shining Armor was sent to check in on Ponyville after all correspondence suddenly stopped. He was quickly infected, but immediately tried to return home to the Crystal Empire to his wife and daughter. He was still sane enough to easily pay for travel and avoid detection until it actually came time to enter the Empire. He is currently locked away in the undershadow of the Crystal Empire, where he is being monitored around the clock. Obviously, this is implying that he has been infected. At present, he is the only infected there, and they are working on a cure. His mind is far gone, and he's unable to form complete thoughts. However, he knows that he has to get home to his daughter, and he has broken his horn and parts of his skull from trying to bash his way out of containment. And then slide 4 just reads, happy to see his baby girl. Shining Armor hobbles through the secret location where Cadence locked him away, creeping through hallways as his abdomen protrudes. A hideous smile on his face, but his glazed over eyes seem to show no kindness or happiness. Despite the grin, his eyes betray him. But how did this happen? Where did the infection come from? Happy to see his baby. Next, we are shown through these research papers exactly how the infection works in terms of stages. The infection spreads through spores produced by the Tree of Harmony, also known as the Perfect Tree. Stage 1, loss of appetite, irritated eyes, the beginning of brain fog. They are extremely thirsty. Stage 2, unable to eat. Black bile forms. The brain fog worsens, and they start to become trapped in their own minds, unable to understand the world around them. Stage 3, respiratory digestive tract erodes as bite area rots. Black bile weeps constantly. They experience extreme discomfort, but not pain. As brain fog worsens, they simply live in their own mind, with repeated memories, while their body reacts on instinct. Sometimes an outside stimulus will align with a memory, and that may draw a stronger reaction. Stage 4. Body is hollow, with nothing but bile and bone inside. Bile begins to clot into soft root-like strands that harden a bit once exposed to air. The body swells, and the skin is very fragile. Soft, fuzzy tendrils. Stage 5, slow or immobile. The bile starts to take root. Stage 6, imperfect trees. Next, we get to see the trees. The trees move eerily, dancing back and forth. It begs the question, how many trees in the Everfree Forest were once ponies? Hey Fluttershy, you'd like to be a tree? Well, you'll get your wish. The trees are breathing, reliving old memories perhaps, but completely unable to communicate. Shining Armor is deteriorating at a rapid pace, slamming his head against rocks and basically bludgeoning his brains out. He barely seems fazed by this as blood drips out of the wound. It's horrible, but unfortunately, as his mind already seems to be half gone, keeping him locked away is the only responsible course of action. How are they dealing with the infection? Zecora, Twilight, and Starlight are working around the clock with Ponyville medical staff to help quarantine ponies. A small population is easy to quarantine, but since Ponyville is so far spread out, it's much harder to contain. Only Ponyville Major is currently shielded. Any pony that wants to come in must be screened. They hope to establish communication with another community to understand the scale of what they're dealing with. Celestia works full-time, maintaining shields around Canterlot and any surrounding communities. Luna is in charge of looking for a cure and handling logistical affairs. Since the infected are dreaming all the time, she's able to dream walk into their minds. They hope they can learn something from the infected without having to be physically near them. I wonder if that's gonna backfire. Sunburst is one of Cadence's scholars, working in a way to use artifacts to maintain a long-term shield. Once a solution is found, they can work to treat Shining Armor. Holy shit, what is that? Caught in an in-between zone. The one thing that we've learned is that the infected are in a sort of constant dream state, and that Luna can actually, go into their dreams, which I think is super interesting. Meanwhile, trapped somewhere outside the protective barriers, we find Pinkie Pie, crawling forward in a forest. She giggles and cries incessantly, and if you're a fan of the show, you'll remember in her laughter song very early in the series that she describes her process for dealing with fear and discomfort or suffering as laughing at it, laughing in the face of it. She jokes around and finds a coping mechanism in humor, which is real, very real. Next, we witness a late-stage infection in progress. As far as I'm currently aware, this isn't any particular pony essential to the plot or lore. It's more a wildly distressing visual representation of how the infected turn into trees over time. The hooves of the four legs become the hovering roots, the mouth slowly having a trunk grow out of it, and for a split second at the beginning of the video, we can see something in the background behind them. As Celestia generates the protective barriers around the major city and other important locations, Luna is able to reach into the minds of the endlessly dreaming dead. What we see next is what Luna herself is seeing in these dreams, at least as far as I'm currently aware. This dream is oddly empty, abstract too. Oh, is this your dream? Hello? Hi, I'm Luna. I want to help you. I can't do that if you don't talk to me. Jesus Christ. So these creatures are stuck in some sort of abstract nightmare as they decay. Now, if you've been wondering where the rest of the main six have been while this catastrophe has all been going down, let's check in on Rainbow Dash, who unfortunately has been infected as well. God damn it. While her eyes are less vacant than the ones we've seen so far on the infected, to me indicating that the process isn't quite as far along with her, she can be seen biting and ripping her feathers off to make way for the bile and branches to grow up between the pores of her skin. She wails out and stares at us with an expression that feels more equestrian than botanical. The video just loops the crying sound over and over, and as it does, I want to draw your attention to the way these creatures seem very non-violent so far, at least when compared to other AU infection stuff that I've seen for My Little Pony or for other series as well. Generally speaking, in other series, the ponies are shown attacking and biting each other. And while here we've seen plenty of self-mutilation, we have not yet seen any real violence against each other, despite it being implied. Divine Swamp Fever seems more concerned with eliciting a gut response that disturbs you by making you feel almost bad for these infected souls, caught in a sleepless dream, unable to feel normal pain, but being eaten alive from the inside out. The world outside has become hostile and dark as lurching figures creep through the woods. You know, like the cemetery song. This one is Pinkie Pie. She wobbles back and forth, and then something black and sticky begins to bubble up out of her mouth with a wet, sloshing gurgle. Her neck tilts back and forth as she spews bile in a weird pattern on the floor, and it's disgusting. And holy shit, the art is so good. The tape that we just saw is titled Outsider, and this next one is titled Insider, which leads me to believe that the corruption has somehow spread within the barriers, the protective barriers, to the very homes that these ponies hold so dear. Here we see Lyra Heartstrings, mouth wide, doing something with that leg. I'm not quite sure what. Meanwhile, you may be wondering how the others are coping inside the barrier. Well, the apples are in a separate quarantine zone and are responsible for keeping Ponyville fed. Applejack is fulfilling this job well, but Big Mac is struggling. Someone was left behind, and you can see her screaming, she's okay, help her. Yeah, more on that later. Rarity is taking on nursing duties. And then this is interesting. This was before anyone quarantined. We see Zecora and Twilight, and Zecora says, "In the woods of Everfree, horrid voices call to thee. Bile seeps like sap dripped from a pine, calls to me with a voice like mine. It floods all ears and ties all tongues. Something wicked this way comes." And Twilight literally says, "I hear nothing, Zecora. Shut up. You know nothing." Absolutely insane lore drop that Zuko was aware of what was going to happen. Well, not aware per se, but had some sort of premonition and is known as the resident wise lady who crafts spells and brews potions and speaks in rhymes, who is almost always correct. Yet Twilight's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Grandma, let's get you to bed. Oh no. Oh God, no. Is that Discord? The certifiable best character? What have you done to my beloved Discord? He slowly enters from over the horizon, dry, heaving, and uncomfortable, thrashing around. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, but in reality is only a few seconds, he jettisons out more of that black bile, and then something even stranger begins to happen. His body transforms into just a massive, disembodied, severed head as the mouth gapes open in a horrific manner. But honestly, y'all, I think that if we gave him a tiny glass of water, then he'd be A-okay. I personally believe that there's an explanation for why weirder stuff happens with Discord specifically. Since he's an entity with many demigod-esque powers like potent chaos magic and immortality, it stands to reason that as the infection takes hold, his abilities would start going out of whack as it eats away at his brain. Hence the living, breathing, severed head business, I suppose. Also of note, this footage was titled Witness, which makes me wonder, what did Discord see? And now, ladies and gentlemen and cryptids alike, one of the most gut-wrenching parts of the story. Remember how Shining Armor was one of the first that we saw infected? Well, he's locked up in a dungeon while his partner tries to figure out a cure and protect their baby from him. He escapes confinement and is shown in the halls of the castle, swaying back and forth with a hideous grin on his face, moaning and rocking back and forth. Cadence's magic is shown to be protecting them as her horn glows. Armor is approaching now, crying out, thrashing wildly, the fear on his family's face, the way they'll never be able to see him without trembling again, and most importantly, how Shining Armor is still conscious in there, forever wondering why his family seems so afraid of him. Standing behind Cadence is Starburst, holding Flurryheart, who has to see her dad like this, and it seems to be implied that Cadence makes him go away with her magic, however painful that might be for her to do, leaving a trail of black, oozing sludge in his wake. Then we get to see and hear things from his perspective. Trapped in a void, unable to communicate, Shining Armor rots, writhing, his body decomposing. A look of sheer terror as his eyes well with tears. He is stuck, reliving hazy, half-forgotten memories through dreams. In the background, you can even hear a baby crying, and all he wants is to be reunited with his family. During this section, Morse code plays that seems to spell out thinking of you. Morse code, more like horse code, am I right? The code itself is heavily reverbed and it's fuzzy, so it's kind of hard to make out. Be aware, there's going to be a lot more Morse code. The next piece of the puzzle is another dream sample. A dream scenario, if you will, starring Nick Cage. That was actually a really interesting movie that you should watch. Very weird, very, very good. Dark clouds hang low in the sky, the mist touching the branches of evil-looking trees and coating them in moisture. The moon glares down with a bright light that unfortunately can't seem to pierce the darkness. Bonbon wades into a rising river, crying as Lyra approaches from the other side. While Bonbon can be seen with an actual environment around her, Lyra appears to step out of a void. They are so close, yet because of the raging water, have no way to reach each other. They begin to talk, and it is barely intelligible. One kind of key thing about this series is that there's a lot of text, hidden messages, hidden stuff everywhere, but it's very difficult to actually decode it because the creator puts many layers of like distortion on it, or makes the text as small as you can possibly make text so that it just kind of looks like a line on the screen. It's fun. Thankfully, there were a lot of people in the comments who were trying to figure it out, so I was able to draw from a collective pool of research to kind of aid me in my quest of understanding, but there's still definitely some stuff that I couldn't for the life of me figure out. And here's the basic idea of what was said. Lyra, is that you? Of course it's me. I miss you. I'm so sorry, Lyra. For what? I'm sorry I left you behind. Remember that image with Big Mac earlier. Do you forgive me? Of course I forgive you. And look at the eyes, dude. Just look at how creepy they are. Perfect couple, though, we'll say. Suddenly, the moon turns into an eye, wildly rolling around before staring at them intently. Teardrops start falling like rain from the sky, or maybe it's rain that's falling like teardrops. I don't know. Quick aside, but doesn't the rain look like the rain from Rain by Jack Stauber? Lyra says someone is watching them, and when asked to clarify, she simply replies, "The mare in the moon," before vanishing. Bonbon is left standing in the rain, calling out to Lyra with no response. What I think happened here is Luna was spying on Dreams to try and uncover any information about the infection. But what's interesting is that Lyra is in Bonbon's dream, seemingly with her own separate consciousness. Like, I can't totally tell if it's a separate consciousness or if it's just like a realistic hallucination. We are talking about dreams after all, but it is odd that when the eye appeared, Lyra got scared and literally left the dream, almost as though she was a separate consciousness that had also invaded. I'm not sure what that signifies, but I think it's odd, and I do start to question, is Bonbon also infected? Meanwhile, Shining Armor has finally broken completely, and we watch his rapid deterioration into a tree. Despite trying desperately to stay alive, it turns out that just wasn't in the cards for him. Oh well, maybe he's more at peace now. The tree is a hulking, bloated mass, with branches like limbs and roots thrashing around like tendrils. More Morse code appears here, translating to, "I see you in my mind always. I will wait. I lie still in the quiet. I will wait. I will roam. I will wait. I will wait." And then just repetition of "I will wait" over and over again. Armor seems distressed, which makes sense given the circumstances. This video also has the word insider in the title, and now with more context, we're going to discover what that actually means. I had a theory earlier about the difference between insider and outsider, but now we're going to figure it out for real. His head seems to gape open, a massive tree branch eerily extending out from his distended face. Morse code here translates roughly to, "I'm not alone in here, I'm still here." Let's sit with that for a second. I'm not alone in here. Really chew on that thought. Who could he be referring to? My guess is that once a pony is far enough gone, they get assimilated into a sort of hive mind or collective consciousness. Trees and mushrooms can actually communicate with each other in a sort of polyglot fashion. Most plants can do that, actually. Any given wood you might find in real life when you're touching grass or doing other normal human activities is likely bustling with hidden knowledge shared collectively among the plants. When we saw the infected visit each other in dreams, we know that they have some sort of cognitive function remaining despite their horrible situation. And I believe that once someone is assimilated, they are considered an insider to the rest of the collective, and then they kind of share thoughts. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? This is so cool. I love it. You know, we are a collective consciousness too, by the way. Can I get a "We Are Legion" down in the comments? Seriously, we are Legion. Also, really quickly, quick aside, none of my videos ever get sponsored. I constantly get reached out to by freaking AI companies, and I don't want that on my channel. So if you want to support the channel, I have a Patreon page that has like some behind the scenes footage and some stuff that like uncensored footage, and also it just super helps. And additionally, we have merch now. We've sold 6 shirts so far which is super cool. I didn't expect to sell 1, and we've sold 6. That's 6 times more than what I didn't expect. So I'd say that's pretty good. And you can find it down below in the description. My lovely editor is going to put a picture of it up on the screen. Go check it out down below in the description. Thank you so much. Back to the video. About halfway through the video, we hear a scream as Armor's eyes go wide. For the first time, he seems almost lucid. Almost like the scream activated a fight or flight response. Or more like the scream is what the slideshow earlier talked about, how certain stimuli can cause strong reactions because they remind someone of some memory that they have. I wonder if the scream, he's like hearing his daughter, and that triggered a moment of lucidity in him. Then we get a kind of jump scare, or just a really close-up image of his face. The art is nightmare fuel. The artist does a really good job, is what I'm trying to say. In the next video, some kind of signal is intercepted, and we watch tears fall as more Morse code plays. And translated, it reads, "I'm still here. I can hear you even when I know you're gone. My eyes are working at half. My ears are working at none." The poor creature cannot hear anything anymore, but can still kind of see. Lovely, and also gives us some more information on how the infection manifests itself in these poor creatures. This one is called Insider 3. Say it with me now. Insider? I hardly know! The art has been getting steadily more dark and distorted as the series progresses, and now it's really leaning into the body horror elements. What is essentially a decaying corpse, bloated and dripping with bile, eyeballs wide and bulging out of their sockets with the pressure of fluid building up behind them, skitters past. Then we see it again, only very different. The neck, if you could call it that, has elongated to immense height and stretched upwards into the darkness. As the tallest man who ever has lived, I can easily say, literally me. Every time we see into dreams now, I assume it's Luna, and that the dreams are supposed to be like abstract memories. This one comes from the subject Cheerily, and what we see is how she gets attacked, witnessing our first violent encounter with the living dead. Some nice brutalist architecture, followed by a dilapidated barn with tall grasses surrounding it. Glorious Father, intercede for me. If I cannot hide from you, neither can he. Always your voice bites the back of a cold wind, and the tall grasses bend for you. An infected pony, I'm not totally sure which one, but the creator implied it's Lyra in the comments, rises and peeks out from behind the barn before vanishing. Inside the barn, we watch from Cheerily's perspective as the infected chases her down into the basement and slowly approaches before seemingly attacking and mauling her. The entire time, Lyra is gently singing. Well, at least she is until she gets quote-unquote eaten. It's really interesting. Like I said earlier, a lot of the shorter and less involved infection AUs were very scary and violent and in your face all the way through, with ponies attacking each other and people dead left and right and whatnot, but Divine Swamp Fever really doesn't do that. Its first strength is in the direct tie-in to the show. Most of the other AUs are kind of just zombie stories, but Swamp Fever as a disease that originates from the swamp and turns creatures into trees hideously over time is actually in the show, and it's part of the lore, and the lore ties it all in with the canon source material. And the second big strength of this series, and the main thing that made me want to cover it, is that it is disturbing and sad instead of being like fast-paced and scary. We are observing these creatures in agony as they fall apart, instead of being immediately violent. But the decision here to show someone getting infected is the show ramping up as it picks up steam. Additionally, there is some hidden text at the end, which reads, "I thought I left someone out there. It isn't who I thought. I didn't know they could open doors." Seems like a bit of an oversight there. Next, we watch from Discord's perspective, yay Discord, as he descends into unfathomable madness from which there is no escape. No, Discord. His vision splits into a sort of kaleidoscope and shifts and shimmers as he attempts to navigate the swamp, murky water swirling around him, as the trees press in from all directions. It's kind of claustrophobic. Suddenly he's in a field, surrounded by sparkling, psychedelic flowers. Watching Fluttershy whip her hair around, she is faceless. This is not real. He just misses her and wants to get back to her, even as we watch him get violently mutated into a tree. The visuals get more trippy. Now we're in Fluttershy's domain expansion. Tiny text on screen reads, "I don't know what to do." Now, we all know that Luna, Fluttershy, and Discord are the best characters from the show. It's just common sense. There's no debate whatsoever. So we now turn back to Luna, who seems to be making the sun rise and set herself because, surprise, surprise, Celestia seems to be dying and possibly infected herself. Fucking hell, man. Can't these characters catch a break? We see all of the dreams that Luna has been witnessing in rapid succession, ending with the reveal that I was correct. The eye in the moon is her spying on the dreams of the infected. She seems to be getting weary, slowly losing hope, and one wonders if there's something about the dreams that are infecting her too. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash screams as she witnesses Pinkie Pie's final stages of infection, seeing the bile bubble up and be vomited everywhere. It seems that Rainbow isn't in that late of a stage yet, and comes to the horrible understanding that Pinkie's fate will be her own. Somewhere else entirely, Big Mac is racked with guilt. This is the first time that we've seen him. He might be on the farm still. Probably due to its close proximity to Ponyville, it's still protected by Celestia's magic. Or I guess Luna's magic at this point, I'm not sure. I guess Luna's doing everything herself now since Celestia is seemingly out of commission. Some people in the comments speculated that when an alicorn gets infected, it can turn into a new Tree of Harmony, which gives the original tree some very gnarly backstory, if that's true. Mac is having visions of Bon Bon screaming. And while it's not revealed immediately, it makes more sense for me to tell you now in this more chronological order, so I'm going to. It seems that he managed to save Bon Bon, but in the process left Lyra behind, hence the guilt. Granny Smith wanders into the room and questions him. She looks, well,
Mac, honey, you should have gone to bed hours ago. What good are you to your sisters if you keep falling asleep in the fields?
He responds, I have lost track of time. Good night, Granny. Which is not his signature catchphrase. I don't know why he's saying that at all. Alone in bed, he can still see Lyra's horrified face as he runs away. But something more. He sees betrayal. Why have you done this to me? Suddenly she appears before him in the doorway, her face drooped in a sagging frown, tears pouring, bile seeping down, the neck bent and supernaturally elongated. Personally, I thought he was a goner. But then we see the moon in the window, and an eye appears, signaling that this is only an awful dream. Pinkie Pie's head was unusually clear. She was at ease. They put her at ease, though she's sure something felt wrong, and they led her right back down. She stares at her contorting face in the mirror, making silly faces at that which she fears, but her true form is revealed only for a split second, and does not stay in her sight. She still sees only herself, despite knowing something is wrong. She just repeats, funny faces in the mirror, funny faces that aren't mine, over and over again. And then we watch as the hive mind connection takes over her, much like it did Discord. Trippy and insane, while Morse code plays Be Not Afraid over and over again. What looks like a brain or a nervous system lights up to reveal that it's in the shape of a tree. Very interesting. While all this is going on, Starburst seems to be getting attacked. Flurry Heart in tow, Cadence nowhere to be seen. Unless, of course, this thing is Cadence. Earlier in the series, the creator implied that Cadence is immune to the infection, but since has retconned the idea, apparently. So I guess this creature could be her. Specifically, keeping the walls of the kingdom up was so exhausting that she became susceptible. There's also a pretty effective jump scare at the end of this clip we'll play for you now. The next video is called Distress Call, and it has like 3 seconds of pony footage before it switches up and becomes a fundraiser for Palestine, which I thought was a very effective and unique way to promote that. So good on her. And then the video ends with another jump scare. Right before the jump scare, though, we see this pony with what appears to be its rib cage hanging out of its body. Look, guys, it's mowing the lawn. One thing I'd like to draw your attention to is how nearly every post starts with "don't look" in big letters at the start. There's a supercut of most of the series up to a certain point on YouTube, and it opens with an insert for the creator telling you the infection wouldn't exist if people didn't watch and support it, meaning that by watching, you are contributing to the horrible existence these ponies live through. And I'm hoping by making this video, 100 billion new viewers find the series, and the torture never ends. Sadism. Yippee! We're in a strange mall or like factory environment. It's weirdly human. This video doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I kind of wonder if it's a shitpost. After wandering a literal human mall with live action footage for some time, evil Pinkie Pie attacks us and the video ends with screaming and running. This honestly doesn't even look like infected Pinkie Pie. She's just evil Pinkie Pie. Next, the creator takes a brief pause to recap and assess where everyone stands. Starburst is safe en route to Ponyville. Flurry Heart also safe and on the road with Starburst. Fluttershy is safe, distraught after the death of Discord, which kind of confirms that Discord is gone now, and is staying in Ponyville. Cheerilee's safe, but shaken after her encounter with Lyra. She hasn't stayed at her home since that night. Bonbon is safe, delirious since the loss of Lyra, and staying at Ponyville Hospital. Big Mac, also safe, but he is not lucid following the loss of Lyra. Very similar situation to Bonbon. Rarity's a nurse at Ponyville Hospital. She wasn't super important to the series, but you know, she's also there. Zecora is shaken after an encounter with the Tree of Harmony, which is interesting because I don't think we got to see that, but that's crazy. Twilight is working with Zecora on finding a cure. Glad that she's alive and actually doing something. Celestia is alive, but extremely tired from using the protective magic, meaning she is not infected like I previously had suspected. Unfortunately, Shining Armor is a tree, we already knew that, but also equally unfortunately, Luna seems to be in some trouble here. Now, I would have assumed the "Where Are They Now" section heralded the conclusion of the series, but buckle up, because it's not quite over yet, and it's only getting worse. It's boiling. It's inside me. I don't know what to do. Help me. Hear me. It's in here. It's all in here. Everything. I just can't make it out. I don't know what to do. Some pony must know. It's all here. Everything that ever was or will be. And then Discord's head lowers out of the trees with Morse code blaring "I can't die" over and over. Because if you remember, Discord is immortal. And then whatever this face is appears. All that stuff I just said was text that was on the screen, and it's all like jumbled up. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on now. Earlier we saw Big Mac losing his mind over the guilt of leaving Lyra behind, and now we get to see why he did that. He sees her in the swamp, and then her body starts convulsing, and she shows obvious signs of infection. The reason he left her obviously being because she was already infected. We go through the whole brain, nervous system imagery is really the Tree of Harmony hive mind thing again. Then Big Mac's dream memory signs off with the text, "Sorry." We turn now to the hospital, where many of the surviving characters are all holed up. A quiet night without a sound. I better take a look around. I guess this is Zecora. Okay. I love the art. I love how many different art styles there are. Lightly tread, don't make a peep, for here the sickly ponies sleep. Why, Fluttershy, are you all right? It's been an awfully quiet night. All right then, I'll leave you be. But if you want anything, please call for me. Oh, sweet mother of Celestia. Oh, I'm sorry, Zecora. I didn't see you there. That's quite all right, Nurse Rarity. It's hard to spook a soul like me. I've just been on edge recently. I'm sure you can relate. I feel like my head is on backwards sometimes. In times like these so full of dread, It serves you well to keep your head. You might want to tell that to Twilight, darling. Her head has been as loose as an old frock. She's been working on her dream machine thing day and night, working herself up. I haven't even seen any dreams come through. She's covered all the footage. It just says, don't look, over and over. She'll probably let you peek. You're her right hoof mare, after all. Oh my goodness, I've been standing here for nearly a minute. I've got to keep on my rounds. It's been lovely chatting, darling. Oh, Lyra. Oh, Macintosh. Oh, you damned moon. Evil, wailing moon. What'd the moon do? What'd the moon do to you? I really love how Zecora is written to speak in rhyme. I mean, it makes sense, but it's just, the details. What we've learned here is that apparently all of these tapes that we have been watching, every single one, was something Twilight was obtaining from other people's dreams. While Luna can look into dreams as well, it seems that her perspective is not the one that we've been watching through. Twilight has some sort of dream machine, and now let's fall down that rabbit hole. Or should I say, pony hole. Ugh, no, that's disgusting. Jesus Christ.
Hello, I am Dream Machine. I am the personified operating system that collects raw data from ponies like you. I am thrilled to show you all my though, of course I cannot be thrilled. I am a machine. Ha ha ha. Today, for this presentation, I have been fed raw data offered by Cheerly. Please rise, Cheerly. Applause. Thank you for your participation today. I have converted your input to video. Let's take a look.
Well, hello, Dream Machine. With that not suspicious at all intro, we watch a very blurry and pixelated video where I honestly can't make out what's happening, really. And then that's all we have so far. But don't be too disappointed, because first off, the series is still ongoing. That last video for the Dream Machine was made like not even a month ago. But as I was researching for this video, I discovered something far more disturbing. A real-life horror that closely resembles the affliction portrayed in Divine Swamp Fever. Chronic wasting disease. A prion disease that attacks the brains of deer, elk, and moose, turning them into walking corpses. There are currently no cures, no vaccines, and it's almost 100% fatal. The disease is highly contagious, lasts in the environment for decades, and is slowly spreading across the continent. And the most disturbing question of all, it's not known if it can also infect or eventually infect humans. We just don't know. And that's the problem. Chronic wasting disease, or C, is caused by a misfolded protein called a prion. A single misfolded prion acts like a trigger, forcing the healthy proteins in an animal's brain to fold into the same wrong shape. This process creates a chain reaction, and then the wrong proteins all clump together, drilling microscopic holes in the brain until it almost resembles a sponge. The animal's brain literally deteriorates until it can no longer function. A horrifying contagion, CWD is a nightmare to contain because it spreads in ways that are almost impossible to stop. Infected animals shed prions in their saliva, urine, feces, blood, even semen. Don't say anything. A friendly lick or a shared feeding ground is enough to pass it on. And then the environment is permanently poisoned. This is one of the most fucked up parts. They really don't die. Prions can bind to the soil or nearby plants and remain infectious for years, possibly decades after the fact. A pasture can become a death trap long after the infected deer are gone. When an infected deer dies, its decomposing body releases prions into the earth, creating a new hotspot for the affliction. And the name wasting disease is no exaggeration. Infected animals suffer a prolonged and gruesome decline over 18 to 24 months. They lose all fear of humans, become listless and unresponsive, drooling excessively, stumbling uncontrollably, carrying their heads low. They waste away, becoming emaciated and weak, as the brain loses its ability to tell the body to eat and drink. And when testing on lab rats, there's some idea that the species barrier isn't as wide as you might think. And given a few mutations, this disease could affect humans too. The response to it has been hampered by politics, funding shortages, and general public ignorance. But in my opinion, we are failing to grasp the sheer disturbing reality of this disease. It's super scary. Like, one of the scariest things that I have learned about our world is chronic wasting disease. By the time we are forced to pay attention to it, it might be too late. So chew on that. Or don't. Probably don't want to chew on it. You might lose your mind. Watching this brought back a lot of fond memories of watching this show with my siblings back when I was like 10, and then again when my second sister was old enough to see it. Like I said, when I was growing up, I didn't have access to the internet. I was never really aware of what a weird place this show holds culturally, but even at that time, it felt more boundary pushing than other kids' shows, tackling dynamics between people that show up in real life constantly, and also real world issues like, I don't know, racism. The show also had a sense of scope to it that progressed naturally. The characters start in a small town in season 1, getting to understand their own relative talents, and more importantly, getting to understand each other, before slowly moving out and doing more intense stuff, eventually fighting demons and demigods who threaten to lay waste to their entire civilization. Eventually, they scale to a point where most of the main characters are world-renowned. They have like a palace and are rulers, and the show then switches up to either focus on their hubris or struggling kids growing up in their world who learn new lessons about each other, etc., etc. The cycle continues. The show was a kid's show, but it remained entertaining to me rewatching it as a teenager. And now I know that that's not a unique experience. What is? Am I right? But this particular iteration of the show has always been most popular with teenagers and even young adults, to the point where there's a lot of weird sexual fan content or horror fan content, even as the show was originally releasing. And now things have come full circle with this series. Watching this show, you come to love these characters and feel moved by their successes. And as their beautiful friendship grows, maybe even into something more than friends. I'm kidding. You begin to understand that redemption is possible, and friendship really is magic. So naturally, I enjoyed watching them all die in horribly gruesome ways. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next transmission. Go follow the creator of the show on YouTube and TikTok down below in the description. And before I go, huge welcome to there's been a bunch of new people who joined on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Bug, Juno, and Joe. And just in general, huge thank you to the patrons. Thank you, Kira, AJ, Darkbeast, Bile, Coyote, Cuba, Batnoise, Phoenix, Bees, Joy, Amelia, Boris, Panflute, Thomas, Audrey, Justin, Lou, ZK, Tom, Dave, Elkie, Stardrop Nude, George, Joseph, Mr. Fox, Possum, Kyojin, Drarko, Geek, Lori, Aprils, Kira's, Danny, Paperclip, and Linty.